stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Riker.
Here.
Councilman Day.
Here.
Councilman Branco.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilman Giaconetta.
Here.
Councilman Brennan.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragno and our Borough Administrator Kevin Boyle.
Okay, under my report, I'll save it till later. We're going to move on to the Shade Tree Commission. We have a very active shade tree group in town here. They do a lot of good work with our trees and our residents. You know, we have a lot of older trees in town, and sometimes they don't seem to cooperate as they get bigger. So they do a good job of determining what has to cut down, what has to get pruned. And with that, they've done an essay contest, and I think we have the winners here today. So I'm going to bring up, you can bring up the whole group, or whoever you would like to bring up.
Right now, just myself to read.
All right, then read that from there, and then we'll turn everything around. Yeah, I'll do it at the end.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Ann Tassinelli, and I'm the chairperson of the Pompton Lake Shade Tree Commission. We're here tonight to commemorate Arbor Day. This is the Pompton Lake Shade Tree Commission's 4th annual Arbor Day contest. The 5th graders have been asked to write an essay on why trees are important to them by using an example of a past memory and how this memory fits into the importance of protecting trees in future generations. The commission then reads each of the essays and chooses a winner from each of the 3 5th grade classes. These winners will receive the opportunity to read their essay tonight and will then receive an award from both the Shade Tree Commission and the Town Council. Their class will also receive an award for their participation. So with that said, I have some people to thank and bring notice to before we move on to the readings. I would like to thank my co-chair, Randy Hinton, who spends countless hours throughout the town surveying trees and determining their safety or their need for pruning or removal. Thank you, Randy. He's become the shade tree steward. He works tirelessly with Pete Ortieri, our county liaison and treasurer, and of course commissioner, who also travels through town with Randy and who surveys trees while he runs his marathons through town daily. Madeline Denty, another asset to our commission, is in charge of organizing planting throughout town for our spring and fall plantings. She's also organized for 4 years now this Arbor Day event and does so with great pleasure and expertise. Danielle Denty, new to our commission as secretary, has already made us feel very comfortable. We look forward to working with her. I would also like to thank our former secretary and commissioner, Megan Schultz, who moved away. She was a great asset, and although we thanked her before she left, we would like to publicly thank her for her work. Frank Giaconetta, our liaison for the past 2 years, thank you for always reporting our concerns and accomplishments to the town council. Ek Venin, our new liaison, you don't know what you're in for. Tim Duffy, our DPW manager, helps out in any way he can, and when we ask him, he's always there. Thanks, Tim, for putting up our new Tree City signs on 2 of the entrances into town. Yes, this year we received our 10-year award. We got a trophy, a flag, and we got that for following all of the criteria necessary to be approved each year for Tree City USA. Also this year, our biggest announcement, which I kept for last, PLSTC became the recipient of a $30,000 grant from the state of New Jersey, which will be matched by our town with an additional $15,000. And with those funds, Shade Tree Commission will work to organize the planting of approximately 150 trees in the borough rights-of-way, parks, and open spaces in our town. We were able to receive this award because through the years we've completed the many criteria necessary to keep our Tree City USA standing. This planting job must be done strategically. We must follow rigorous guidelines while doing so going forward, as there will be inspections and checklists required by the state. I would like to thank John Linson, our certified arborist, for his expert advice and assistance in applying for this grant, and for always being there for us when we need him. Kevin Boyle, thank you for your support and hard work getting all of the paperwork into the hands of the New Jersey Forestry Division's hands for review and approval. Okay, that ends my long-winded speech. Thank you for joining us, and let us move on to the 5th grade essay winners. Thank you for coming.
So before we move ahead, the town has a proclamation for the Shade Tree Commission for all the hard work they do, so I'd like to read that. In 1872, Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. Whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and in the world. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide a habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Now, therefore, I, Michael Sarah, Mayor of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2018 as Pompton Lakes Recognition of Arbor Day, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Congratulations. Congratulations to you guys.
Thanks, man.
Okay, congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and you're gonna do it.
Are these, those are yours?
All right, you want to do yours first? Can you just do that?
That doesn't matter, they're here. Okay.
All right, I'd like to call Calvin Egbert up, please. You're from Lincoln School, right? And you're going to read your essay. Take your time and give you some room.
Have you ever thought about how important the trees are to you in the world? Well, let me tell you, I have. The trees are probably the most important and precious things that humans have surrounding them on Earth. Trees give us oxygen and make the world look amazing. We also have even a very special day to celebrate the trees and plants called Arbor Day. Not only does the world recognize this great day, but I also love the trees for many reasons too. When I'm in the woods and I see all the different types of trees and dark green colors, I feel peaceful and calm. I stop and just take a good look around at all the beautiful wildlife and plants that make the woods and all the forest look special. I notice all of the beautiful trails when I go horseback riding down by the mountains at Echo Lake Stables. I just sit back on my horse and smell the fresh air of the woods. If people in places around the world keep chopping down trees and pollute the land, then animals will lose their homes, and we won't have all these special things that we enjoy and will always remember. We live on a beautiful planet, and with beautiful trees, I suggest that we should keep it that way. Just as the Lorax once said, I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees, and that's what I'm doing right now. Trees are amazing things that the world and I could not live without.
Let's take it over here so you can get your picture. Fans in the back.
Thank you.
Good job. And for the guys that are getting your awards, this will also be on Channel 77. In another week or two, you can turn on television. You guys will all be on television. Holly, you here? Holly Mancuso?
Trees are very important in my life. I love going outside in the spring and sitting in the tree in my front yard. That is my favorite tree because it is small but sturdy, and it is also so pretty in each season. I remember one day my little brother and I strapped a rope on the tree. We made a harness and my brother put the harness on. Our homemade zip line was a blast until my mom came out and got mad because it was too dangerous. I think trees should stay safe because they give us air and shade. They also give birds a home. Birds can build their nests on high branches so predators on the ground don't get to them. Trees also keep fish safe. Trees shade fish in the water so they don't fry in the sun. It also gives fish a good hiding place from predators above. I do cheerleading and I tumble. I usually do it outside when the weather is nice. I need something to look at to keep my balance. So I look at the tree in my front yard. Also, when my brother and I play outside, we use the tree as a base when playing tag. Overall, trees are a beautiful and helpful part of this environment. Everyone should try to protect them.
Good job. Sarah Ann Paragate, is that it? She here? Okay. She was representing Lennox School, and she got a nice certificate too, so let's give her a hand. Sure, okay. Okay, no problem.
Yes.
I think they want one big picture, Mike.
I want to see them.
Yeah.
Okay, you can quickly go there.
Where they can hold it up then, if that's what you want. Now, all are full. We'll go with them. Melanie, you want to take a picture of this one? Or somebody?
I'm used to that.
Council?
Yes. It's okay.
Calvin and Holly, thank you for a job well done.
So I want to thank all the students that wrote the essays. I'm always impressed when students take time to come to our meetings and read their essays. I don't know if I'd have the guts at that age to read it, stand in front of everybody and read it, so I give them credit for that. I'd like to thank Shade Tree for putting it all together. Thank you, guys. All right, so we're going to move along now. Yeah, we should take it down. Okay. We have a second reading on the Special Improvement District budget. Liz, if you want to read that, and then we'll bring them up.
Authorizing adoption of a budget in the amount of $607,859.85 for the Special Improvement District in the Borough of Pompton Lakes for the year 2018.
All right, I'm going to give everybody a moment to, who wants to leave can leave, and then we'll continue with our meeting. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on the 2018 Special Improvement District? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that, did they give the report first, or did you give the report? No, we need an update, or?
No, I was gonna say, any questions, but there's no questions.
Well, we didn't open it yet, okay. Special Improvement District, budget. Can I have a motion? Councilman Branco? Council President Riker, all in favor? Aye. Against? Anyone who have any concerns or questions about the bid budget, please step forward. We're just talking about that now. I do have a representative from the bid here to answer your questions. Okay, seeing no one, I would ask Rob just to step up and make a quick comment about the bid and any updates you have on it.
Basically, I mean, for those who don't know what the bid is, it's a business improvement district, and our goal is to help the businesses in town in many different ways. First and foremost, that's marketing and promotions of the businesses and the whole business district in the town of Pompton Lakes. Secondly, redevelopment. And third, we also have ways for businesses to improve the look of their stores through grants from signage, frontage, and electrical lighting above. And then if someone's looking to come into town for a space, we try to help that individual and hook up a property owner with a business and try to keep the town as busy and active as possible. We run multiple events all year long, everything from the holiday stroll. We also help with the car show now. We do concerts in the summertime. We have an event coming up on the 13th where parents can come on the library lawn and they get to experience the library and how beautiful a building it is, and they can paint planters for Mother's Day. And then we also have in the fall where you can paint pumpkins, and we run different events also for the businesses to promote the businesses. One comes up May 5th. We have a treasure chest, so people go into a business and get a card where they can enter a contest to win bid bucks. And the whole idea is to promote the people to go in the store to realize, oh wow, I didn't know you had that here. So, and we've heard good feedback. We did it last year. We got really good feedback from the store owners that people bought items or came back and bought something later that they didn't know that particular store had. So it's a way for people to realize what's actually in Pompton Lakes. And one of the best examples I can give, which I always laugh about, I was standing at R&M Hardware one day, and a guy walks up to Rick and goes, "How long has the hardware store been here?" And Rick and I looked at each other, and we started laughing. And we said, "So how long have you lived in Pompton Lakes?" He goes, 12 years. 12 years? And do you drive up and down the Hamburg Turnpike? Yeah, every single day. And he never realized that we had a hardware store for these 12 years. My God, I've been going to Oakland, I've been going to Home Depot. This is so much more convenient. So unless sometimes you actually knock them over the head and drag them into the store, they don't even realize that the stores and businesses exist in Pompton Lakes. So if anybody has any questions or would like to ask me something about the bid, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
So let me just add before we start, one thing I should have mentioned. The bid is a tax that's put on the landlords of the properties. It's not put on the homeowners in town, commercial property, sorry.
Right, commercial property owners.
So that's where the bid gets their budget from. The budget is run by a board, which Rob sits on, and they make the decisions on how the money is spent there. It is not it's a quasi-town organization. It runs their own meetings. They decide how they want. One of the events I know that's coming up very shortly is they're going to be planting mums on the in buckets on the street.
Well, actually, flowers in planters, about 50 of them throughout the town.
And I'll just tell you an example. You know, there's an issue about watering those buckets, and it's a pretty pricey expense to keep watering them. and the bid had to pick up that cost, and through their meetings decided they would pay the cost of doing that. So, I mean, they do good things in town, and a lot of the improvements you see are through the bid. Councilor, you have any questions for the bid?
I do. Well, I just want to say thank you for
you're
everything you
welcome.
do. Again, quick question. I know
Sure.
this winter was pretty tough on a lot of the trash cans slash recyclables. Are you planning on maybe replacing some or putting some around?
Well, we have a few still in storage that we haven't pulled out, so if any of them are damaged, we'll swap them out.
Okay.
And I have to say this, because I don't know who was actually responsible, but our new head of the DPW, Dan,
Yeah.
has been wonderful to work with. And I applaud you, whoever was the person who finally gave the yes to. He's been great. We're really willing to work with us, and in turn, we're really willing to work with him. So it'll be a nice relationship.
Good.
And even Timmy Duffy has now been allowed to step up, which is a nice change too. Not that he didn't, but, you know,
All right, good.
it's much improved, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Robin.
I just want to confirm that the paint and plant is on the 12th, not 13th,
Oh, okay, thanks.
Saturday the 12th?
Yes, it's Saturday the 12th.
Not Mother's Day.
Not Mother's Day, no, God forbid.
Right, for Mother's Day.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, step up. I was about to close it, but I'll let you go. Go ahead. You're about to, yeah.
Joe and Santolo, 32A Walnut Street. On Lakeside Avenue, you have about 5 recycling cans, but no garbage cans. Wondering if they want to, change that layout, because people are taking the garbage and putting them in the recycling cans.
Well, I don't know,
There is no
the bid
garbage
is not responsible for Lakeside Avenue, right? No. That's a school, so we'll have to talk to them.
No, Lakeside from the railroad track, that little sweep to Colfax, there's 5 cans, recycling cans right there, not anywhere near the school at all.
I'd have to take a look, I don't know, I'd have to look, but it has nothing to do with the bid, so I'll talk about that, but I just can't talk about that now.
On the bid, I wanted to know, why is it costing $25,000 to print bid bucks?
It's not the printing, it's the sponsorship.
Go ahead, Rob.
Rob, come to the,
It's up to
yeah,
you.
come to
Also, there's miscellaneous expense of $8,300. What does that include? Because that's a lot of money for $8,300. And on the maintenance, it's $24,000. My assumption is, because I drive through it every morning, is possibly the landscapers that clean off Wanacue Avenue. Why can't that expense be diverted, instead of paying a landscaper, send a reduced amount to the DPW and let some of their crew get overtime to do that where it's kept within town, instead of hiring an outside contractor? Because the contractor that the bid is using, you could stand there with a video camera and watch them blow stuff all over the people's cars. And one day someone's going to come out and it's going to be scratched or something like that, and then they're going to turn around and go after the town because it's the center of the town. And I don't know if this is, I don't think this has to do with the bid, but there's an issue with the garbage cans on Montague Avenue. Apparently, the tenants that live over the stores are taking their private garbage, coming down. I watched several tenants take the restrictor off the top of the can and stuff all their garbage in it, and then walk back, instead of having their own garbage cans in the back of the building or separate cans. These cans are for public garbage, not for private services. And it seems that whenever there's a garbage day that the town does not have collection for like a holiday or something, they still pick up on Montague Avenue. So these people, the tenants, which don't pay property tax, are getting free garbage to pick up. That's the other issue.
All right, so let me address the couple I have, and then you can take it over from there.
Okay.
I'll start with the last one you made about the comment about the tenants using it. Yes, that is a serious problem. We've tried to address it numerous ways. We don't have a full-time inspector that walks the streets that can go through garbage. We don't have the time. The bid is looking into ways to solve that. I agree with you 100%. These are tenants who are not paying taxes and dumping their garbage in there every day, and the business owners are not happy with it. Obviously, if you have a business there, you're not going to be happy if the can is full every day. And obviously, if there's a mattress out there or a dresser, it didn't come from one of the businesses, so it came from the tenants. So they are aware of that, and they're going to try to address that. The part about the DPW, I will tell you that they did work out a deal with the DPW for the watering of the plants. They will be doing it, but they have limited hours throughout the day that they can work, and the manpower, we don't have to send somebody over there. I guess they could reach out and see if they want to come in before, but they start pretty early. I know with the watering of the plants, they will be starting around 5 o'clock in the morning before their job as a DPW person, to do this watering, and Rob can talk about that a little bit more. Go ahead. So if you want to answer any of those.
Well, first of all, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly about the garbage. It's been a big issue for us for a couple of years. And not only are the tenants the issue, I personally have watched a business owner come out, instead of walking around the back to his container, walk out and put his garbage right on top on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And the sad part is, if Saturday night, it sits there till Monday morning.
And their bags.
Yeah, they're bags. You're right. Yep, exactly. And so it's not just the tenants. Although they're the main culprit, it is also some of the business owners themselves that sometimes get too lazy, and that's unfortunate. So we're trying to find a way through, maybe, we've discussed many different things, from fining the owners of the properties to fining the business, but you have to prove that it's that person. And we're in discussions with the town and also with one of the inspectors in town. How can we resolve this so it stops? Because it is a problem. We've even talked about picking the garbage up more often, all sorts of things to try to alleviate this problem. And we don't have an answer yet, but we are working on it. As far as the landscapers go, we just hired the town, and it costs us several $1,000s a year to water the plants. And they're actually coming in before their hours, because they don't have the manpower to do it during their normal work hours. So we've hired the DPW, and we pay them overtime to come and water the plants. So right now, there isn't enough manpower, but we'd be more than happy to look at doing that for them, as long as the numbers work out the same, because we're trying to keep the costs down. The town unfortunately can't afford to absorb that cost, because then your taxes would go up.
Right, but the contractor who does the landscapers who clean Wanacue, they usually start like 6:30.
Right.
I drive through at 7 o'clock, and you're like in the middle of Wanacue, so DPW, if they start at like 6 o'clock and blow the street off by 7.
Well, I can address it with Dan, and we can look at it, and we can see where the numbers will work out, and I can have a meeting with the mayor, and I don't have an issue with that. Yeah.
They have the equipment already, because they do landscaping.
Right, no, I know.
It's just extra money for work.
Right, exactly. And then, the other question was the $25,000. That's not to print the bid bucks. We actually subsidize the bid bucks. So, yeah, because basically for $150, you spend $100 and you get $150 worth of buying power that you can use on almost every single business in town. And what that entails is the bid is giving the business owner that presents the bid bucks back to us the $50 difference. So that's where the $25,000 comes in.
And what about the miscellaneous?
The miscellaneous, we have extra money in our budget, so it's listed as miscellaneous right now. But it can be anything for concerts or any new item that we decide to try, because there will be things going forward. We actually don't have a place for it, so we allowed ourselves a little cushion, and that's partially what it is. For like an example, like the price of the plants went up from last year to this year, so part of that will scoot over. So by the end of the year, it all gets accounted for.
The historical streetlights at
Right.
LPs, does that fall under the bid, or that's the town now, since the streetscape was completed?
Right, it actually falls under the town. Correct? Yeah. But the bid paid for them.
The bid paid the initial
We
cost.
originally, the initial cost, the bid paid for them, and then the town took over ownership of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to close the public session on the Special Improvement District budget for second reading? No, motion to close the meeting for public comment.
So moved.
Councilman Bennett. Have a second. Second. Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve the 2018 Special Improvement District SID budget for second reading and final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg, Council President Riker, roll call, please.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Yes.
Councilman Riker.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Councilman Branco.
Yes.
Councilman Devine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? So moved. Councilman Devine? Councilman Branco? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public would like to address? Please state your name, your address, and try to keep it to 5 minutes.
Shirley Terciello, 444 Millen Avenue. I have this problem for a while. My neighbor's property has a sinkhole, and my property is going through the sinkhole. I have a deck there, that my steps keep going down, so I have to keep fixing them. I have to keep putting dirt on, so I've been dealing with that. When, a year and a half ago, I called Ed Morrow to see, you know, what he could see that it is. I called the DPW, I called the MUA, and I called the building inspector. They all said he needed to fix it. Well, it's a year and a half later.
Did they say what it was?
They said it's just the property going down. There's no water. You know, he has to call an engineer to find out exactly what it is, which obviously he never called an engineer because it's a year and a half later. The house has been sold. It's under contract. I want that sinkhole fixed because my property just keeps going through it.
Turn to my attorney. Is there anything we can do as a council?
The building inspector said he can't do anything.
Unless it's a public safety and welfare matter that somebody says there's a public health and safety, there's nothing we can do. It's
Well,
private.
I have a safety. We can't go up the deck, the steps. We have the children going up. They keep
Right, so
going.
unfortunately, what it's gonna fall into is it's gonna have to be a small claims court kind of deal.
Small claims.
Or, it might not be small, that's right.
Yeah.
It could be large claims too.
Could be, yeah.
But, if it's a health concern, then you would need to bring that to the health department or the building department, and they have to say it's a health concern, and then we would have to go address that if it is.
Right.
If it's not, then unfortunately, there's not much we can do.
Yeah, I went to Sal and, you know, I told him the house is under contract. The owner now is not fixing it, and I want to make sure that the new owners are going to fix it.
I would hope
So I
they
don't
would,
keep-
but
Yeah.
we
So
can't
Sal
make it.
said you can't make it, but he was going to try to see, but I figure maybe something else I can do. I called everybody.
You could try the health department, if they figure that there's a health
Health
concern
department.
there, maybe that could be something. a way to
Okay.
go.
Have you put them on notice, have you written them and put them on notice in writing?
I think Sal has, like, almost 2 years ago.
This is really a simple matter, no, you should be putting them on notice. This should be the borough's responsibility.
Myself put on it.
Absolutely.
So it didn't mean because I called everyone to come there. So how do I,
Again, it's private property, we don't get involved in private issues.
okay.
So you should be notifying him yourself by certified letter, you have a concern that the sinkhole's impacting your property.
I did, he told me to fix it.
And you can't do that because you can't go on it.
It's not my property.
Right.
So,
But I think what our administrator is saying is, you need to make sure he understands you're putting him on notice in case something does happen, that you have a registered letter that says, look, I warned you this was going on. So I think that would be your first step. And
so
then,
get a registered letter and serve
You
it to
can also
him.
indicate that you're having a new property owner, so
Right.
you have no basis for thinking that the new property owner has knowledge about the old property owner, so in terms of starting out on an even footing, make sure that they have the notice, that they realize that as they bought the property, there might be liability they didn't anticipate.
That it's going on before. Okay. Yeah, it's under contract, so I don't know who did. They sold it, they didn't sell it, but I'm sure they did. With those prices, I would have bought it myself.
sure.
You've got a sinkhole in a piece of private property that affects multiple properties. I think a very smart idea is what the mayor just said, and the administrator, speak to the health department, let them on your property to view the problem, and see if it is a health risk. If it's a health risk, then maybe the government can help you to at least talk to this individual and fix the problem. I mean, Lord knows how big this sinkhole is, right? You're just getting a piece of it right now, so.
And it also,
It's a big piece.
a lot of sinkholes in town are old septic, systems.
Well, that's what I thought, and that's why I called MUA, I called the
Well, they won't,
DPW,
yeah, they
you
won't
know.
identify it as that. You need somebody to come in, they poke around and actually identify.
Right, which he was, excuse me, he was told to call an engineer,
Right,
because
that's what
no
you
one
need.
knows what it is. But
I mean, I had one on my
obviously,
own property, it becomes a big hole. So, I mean,
He doesn't want to spend the money,
well, then you're gonna have to, unfortunately, it's gonna be a court thing, more than a
court
town
thing
thing.
to
yeah.
get it done.
And I would think before I take that property over, that I want that problem addressed. So
The new
that may
owner.
be done with the new owner.
Okay.
I think health risk thing is a good avenue for you.
Real estate person's telling me, nothing you can do. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the Board of Health.
Give a letter to the realtors who are involved with the transaction.
I think Sal said maybe that's what he was
They may
gonna
not have
do.
any obligation, But, if one of them failed to get an appropriate settled disclosure statement, then perhaps there might
Then
be.
you can go with that. Okay. Okay. My second point is, the recycling, the pickup. Where are you informing the public? Because the calendar is wrong.
So, as I explained to numerous residents who have called me and complained about this.
Right. Numerous.
Numerous. First of all, the calendar is right going forward in May. So there was a
Okay,
mistake
so
made
just
on the
this-
calendar.
just this month.
Mistakes happen. We
Right.
can't stop mistakes from
Okay.
happening. Okay? They were informed through Facebook, through our webpage. We did not do a reverse 911. Maybe that was a mistake, maybe we should have, but we did not. We have to move forward from that. Going forward, the calendar is correct. I ask the residents to be patient, and if you can, pick up whatever you put out there wrongly and leave it till the next pickup, or if you can make it over to the recycling center, bring it over to the recycling center. As you know, our DPW is still busy on picking up all the branches and things that they're trying to do, so they really can't do extra pickups at this moment, but it was a mistake, and mistakes happen.
Yeah, no, I didn't, I just want to make sure that next month the calendar is correct.
Starting next
So
week, the
just
calendar is
this month
correct,
and
yes.
that's it.
Yes,
Okay.
it was just this 1 month of many calls.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? My name is Ruth Pais, and I live in 228 Skyler Avenue in Pompton Lakes. We have a problem. There is one, not talking about trees. There is one tree in, next to, our property in 228 that it's, dead, and it's almost looking like it's gonna fall down.
Who owns the property next to you? A house or?
It's, I don't know exactly if it's from, 222, I think, or 232 that is on the other side. It's like a property like this, the tree is just right here.
So unfortunately, the same situation that she was in, it's a private matter that involves the neighbors in court.
So it's, the problem is that if that falls, it's gonna fall in offense that it costs
Yes.
$13,000, plus it can kill kids that are gonna be
Yes.
playing around.
Unfortunately, it's
I
private
already
property.
talked with the neighbors. I told them that if they want, we can share.
Oh, that's very
Yeah.
nice.
But nobody came to me and tell me, yes, let's do it or not. So I was just wondering if there is an ordinance or something that it could be able to do something in.
Unfortunately, there is
regards-
not. We can't go on private property and address anything. So anything that's on private property is between the people who live in that property. The next call would be, I think what the administrators just suggested would be, send them a registered letter that you're concerned about this tree, and you should make action on it. I think you met them halfway, which was very nice, to offer to pay for it. If they won't do that, unfortunately, if that tree was to fall and just property damage was done, I
Yeah,
think,
because
I
it
can't
can fall
say,
in the
but they
fence,
would probably be
And
held
it can fall in the
responsible.
house and then
Right.
broke the house because it's just right here, so it was really high. And you see that it's totally like dead and already fall some trees on the other side. So this is, they thank God that although the storms they came and nothing happened, but who knows if the next one it would. And then,
I agree with you, but unfortunately, I know our shade tree is very busy just taking care of trees on our
Yeah.
property. If we had to send them to private property, they'd be out all day. So, unfortunately, there's not much we can do on private property.
And another question is, I know that it doesn't part of Pompton Lakes, but it's the bridge. It's like the bridge that is, it goes in Turun Avenue, I think.
Lakeside Bridge?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like it's, every time that I pass over there, I feel like it's going down.
I agree.
And I don't know if one day something gonna happen, or somebody's gonna do something.
No,
but-
engineers have checked the bridge. Structurally, it's safe.
And I think that I have to go like, I don't know, if you, I mean, you go over there too, that I have to go really slow because it's not like a boom, a big bump.
It's a county-owned bridge. Can we reach out to the county and have them?
We have to pass through it again.
We've done it numerous times. We've
Yeah.
reached out to the county, and it wouldn't hurt for residents to send an email to the county, which is just go to the website.
Yeah.
And let them know you're concerned about the top of the bridge. The more voices they hear, the better off it is for us.
You know the email address?
Just go to the county Passaic, and you'll see it right listed
Okay,
there.
and
I
it's,
think your best bet is to go to Freeholder meeting.
Yeah, if you really want to go, you can go to the freeholders meeting, you know.
when is it gonna be there?
Do we know the dates on freeholders meetings? No, you have, again, it's on the webpage.
It's
I'll
on
let you
there?
know.
Okay, so when I
But
see
it's,
that.
unfortunately, we can't take care of that bridge. It's not our bridge.
Yeah, I know, but it's
And we
like
can't fix it, but we've reached out as a town.
It's every time you feel that it's going down and down, and to what point that somebody's gonna fall in, and then, like always.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't fix
When they
that.
do something.
Yeah, we can't,
Okay.
we've reached out as a town, though, to ask
Same
them.
thing at the freeholder meeting? And that will-
Yeah, I will do that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Up.
Now I'm wearing a different hat. On behalf of the Elks, I just want to make an announcement. This Friday is pasta night, and all the proceeds go to benefit the Pompton Lakes Elks High School Scholarship Fund. So the more people that show up, the more money we have for the scholarships.
And what's the time?
It's from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock Friday night. It's pasta, all you can eat. There are 2 types of pasta, 4 different types of sauce, and actually 5, 6 different types of sauce. Everything from marinara, Alfredo, New England clam chowder, what am I doing? Well, no, actually, you know what I mean. Yeah, there's carbonara with olive oil and garlic, and I'm missing one, but.
Okay.
So there's 6 different sauces. We have shrimp, sausage, chicken, and meatballs, all right? And you get salad, there's Caesar salad, regular salad, garlic bread, so for basically $12 and $11 for seniors, it's a good deal,
Great.
all right? And May 13th is the pancake breakfast Mother's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
Joe Stoll, 32A Walnut Street. In reference to the county bridge, when the freeholders had the meeting in our town, I did address that issue. They did not come back with an engineer report. That's missing. In reference to dead trees, when I moved into my property in May of 2003, my landlord was actually addressed an issue to a dead tree on the property. And under property maintenance ordinance that the town has, the dead tree is an issue, and the property maintenance inspector can issue a summons to the property owner. My landlord was approached by the inspector because the neighbor across the street was concerned that the tree was going to fall into their front of their house where their 2-year-old daughter plays.
We'd have to check that. I'm not sure if that's true.
He received a letter,
That's an old inspector. He might have done it on his own. The book might say that's not true.
and he was given 30 days to remove the tree or $1,000.
Well, we'll research it. Attorney will research that.
Because here's an issue. If you can issue a summons for someone to have higher grass than 4 inches, that won't kill a person, but a dead tree is on a private property, that's not...
But they have to go on the property to make sure the tree is dead, and we can't walk on private property.
No, if you look,
You can't tell if a dead tree is dead by looking at it. I'll ask my specialty here.
he'll tell you, okay. On garbage collection day on Montague Avenue, why can't there be an exemption for no parking when they pick the garbage up? Because they have people parking on Montague Avenue, and when the garbage trucks come to pick up the garbage, they're actually in the lane, and people have to cross the double yellow line to go on the wrong side of the road. In one day, there's going to be a head-on collision.
Because, first of all, there's a couple problems there. The first problem is the business owners, of course, have to have people parking to shop in their businesses. Some of them are open that early.
No, the garbage people come, the DPW comes like 7 o'clock in the
But there's
morning.
businesses open at 7 o'clock in the morning. Country Deli, Cardinal Cafe, they're all open. You know, most of the fitness places, they're all open at 6 o'clock. So they, of course, would not go for that. Secondly, it's illegal to cross the double yellow and drive on the other side. So if a police officer is there, they are going to get a summons for that. I understand what you're saying, though. The garbage truck does block up the whole road, but unfortunately, that's the way it's going to go, because these businesses are not going to close down just to have garbage picked up.
Right. Now, there's a pocket park on DuPont and Walnut Street, and they did a little playground. They put one historical street light, a floodlight for the flag. The historical street light, I went to Michelle like 4 times, 5 times already. The light is broke. From day one when the contractor put it in. It's got a bad ballast or a bad bowl. It'll go on for a few minutes and then shut off. It'll come back on, shut off. It'll be off for hours. I kept bringing it up, but...
All right, Kevin, could you just note that?
There's no attention on that. On Kinneball Road, the MUA dug up the road and installed a fire hydrant right across the street from the side road. I think it's It starts with an N, that little side road that goes up off of Cannonball into where there's more industrial offices. And they filled it in, 2 years ago. A year later, it sank. I spoke with John. They came out, they filled it again, they leveled it. It sank again. I spoke to him 3 times. He said they were going to send a contractor with a heater, heat it up and redo it. Now apparently when they're doing the hydrant flushing, that hydrant is dead. Doesn't have any water.
You're going to have to go to the MUA with that. We have no control of the MUA. You have to bring that to their attention.
Okay, but how many times do people drive into a sinkhole before their car gets ruined and then...
That's an MUA. They put it in. It's their merchandise. They got to be responsible for it, or we're not.
Okay.
Yeah, public session too, if you can speak there.
Okay. And the last thing is DuPont Place Bridge. I spoke to you in July of last year. It is a town bridge. It's been confirmed a town bridge. The plate that...
No,
Yes, it is.
Well, we have no paperwork. Unless you have paperwork on it, we have no paperwork.
Mayor Cole got a letter
I don't
from
care
the
what Mayor
county.
Cole did. Right now, we have no paperwork on it.
But you were a councilman at the time.
Right, but we have no what I'm telling you is we have no paperwork on it. We're still arguing the fact on who owns the bridge.
But it doesn't take 10 months to find out.
The county is taking their time on it.
The county said it's not their bridge.
No, the county is researching who owns the bridge.
Well, the county engineer in the letter that was sent to Mayor Cole said it was not a county bridge, but they inspected it for courtesy to the town and said it was in deteriorated form. And Mayor Cole said the town didn't have the money to fix it, and that was the end of the
I
conversation.
can't speak for Mayor Cole. I can tell you now, we have addressed that bridge and looked at that bridge, and we have no proof that we own it or the county owns it. The county hasn't come back and said anything to us. We've reached out to them numerous times about it.
And the plate that's on the bridge, that was put on by the DPW.
Again, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Was it put on? Do we know that?
Yes.
For my time.
No, it was during Galette's time, and then went to the county garage on Ringwood, asked them to cut a plate to the size, because H2M said the plate had to be put on, because there was a hole in the bridge. So the DPW did put the plate on, and that's actually the second plate. The first plate was too short. The second plate was longer. It's just that this year marks the 11th year that plate's been on the bridge. I don't think it takes 11 years to fix a bridge. What's going to happen is someone's going to drive over the bridge, it's going to collapse, either someone's going to get seriously hurt or killed, and then you're going to have a lawsuit.
Well, our understanding is there's 3 owners that could be owners of that bridge. It could be DuPont that owns that bridge, we could own that bridge, or the county could own that bridge. Until we know who owns that bridge, we are not going to take responsibility for the bridge. Because once we take responsibility for the bridge, we hold responsibility for the bridge. Sure, Fred.
If it's the bridge I think it is, and I'm sure it is, I had a 100-year title search done on that to try and figure out who the owner was, and the title company can't figure it out, because it's just that unclear. They made it clear that they could not say it was a county bridge. They made it clear they couldn't say it was a municipal bridge. They made it clear they didn't know who owned it after searching back through land records for over 100 years. So just because the county says it's not theirs, that doesn't mean we have to accept that explanation.
So we do need to get to the bottom of it. We need to figure out who owns it. And of course, if it comes back 100% it's ours, then we're responsible. If it comes back the county's responsible, then they're going to be responsible.
But maybe the town and the county, they could talk to each other and say,
We
you
have.
know what? Let's put a plate over the whole bridge so nobody gets killed until we decide who owns the bridge.
Sounds common, right? But the county's saying the same thing I'm saying. We're not going to put any effort to that bridge until we know we own it, because once we put effort to that bridge, people are going to say we own that bridge. So it's going back and forth till we figure out who owns the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Second. Councilman Benning, Councilman Giacomo. All in favor? Aye. Against? Okay, approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes, regular meeting minutes of April 11th, 2018. So moved. Councilman Devine.
Second.
Council President Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims. Motion to approve the following bills as listed below.
So moved.
Councilman Begg.
Second.
Councilman Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Oh, we got a present. Councilman Devine present. Against? Petitions, we have none. Consent agenda whenever you're ready.
Anyone wishing to have any resolutions pulled from the agenda?
I would like to pull 1899 and 18103, and perhaps they can be discussed together.
Okay.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions from individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved, the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 18-100 through 18-102, 1899, and 18103 are pulled.
Can I have a motion? Council President Riker and Councilman Blanco, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, separate action?
Do you want me to read both
Yeah.
of them, or just one at a
Can we do both
time?
together? Together, yeah.
Okay. Resolution 1899 is authorizing and directing the planning board to investigate certain properties for inclusion in the borough redevelopment plan. There's various in that one, and then the other one is the same resolution, but it's block 63, block 7.
Okay, do you want to talk about it, or just there you go. Question?
So I just felt that it really didn't belong on the consent agenda. I felt it needed to be brought up in public just for a brief explanation. That's all.
All right, so these properties are being looked at to be moved over to the planning board to make a decision if they should be put into the redevelopment zone, and there's some benefits to putting things in a redevelopment zone. We can get a pilot out of that. We can do some other things through redevelopment with that. Doesn't necessarily mean just because we're bringing it over there that it will go into the redevelopment zone. The planning board will take a look at it, make a decision, and let us know how they feel about those two properties.
Because I guess my concern was this: the redevelopment agency didn't meet this past month, but the fact that the agency didn't meet and there wasn't an application before it, just in terms of full disclosure, that things regarding redevelopment are going forward, and this is just one of those formalities that needs to be addressed in terms of the council asking the planning board to please review it.
Correct.
My understanding is that Michael Fabrizio requested these properties.
Yes.
And this is the first step in redevelopment. The first step in redevelopment is the council has to send a request to the planning board just to review properties to see whether or not they qualify. And that's what this step is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have to make a motion on those two?
I thought you already had a motion. Did you have a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Make a motion. Can I have a motion, please? Together, yes. Can I have a motion on Resolution 1899, 18103? Councilman Branco?
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Okay, under my report. Well, we've got a couple things going on right now. First off, someone brought up the DPW. We do have a new supervisor there who's been there about 6 months. The administrator and myself had a meeting with him just to see how things are going and moving along. And, you know, it takes some time to get used to adjust to what he has to do. But he's fitting into the position well. Things are working well there. We hope to have some ideas coming out of the new supervisor that might benefit the town in many different ways. One of them being the bid. One of them might be a recycling program, how it works, and maybe change it up a little bit. So it was a good meeting. He's very excited about coming to Pompton Lakes. He did mention that we have an excellent volunteer staff here, that in other towns he hasn't seen as many volunteers knocking on his door asking for help, which is a good thing. So he said a lot of the people and a lot of the residents are very involved. While we're talking about the DPW, let's just remember that starting, I think, in 2 weeks, we'll have the brush and pickup start again. That's when you can put everything out on the curb. You will be driving around now and probably see some brush still out there. If they have time, they're trying to get to that. If they don't, they're just going to wait till the brush pick up and pick it up all at the same time. You know, these storms were tough on us as residents and also on the DPW to pick up all the stuff. So they're trying to catch up with the garbage and recycling and everything else. And I thank the public for understanding our mistake on the calendar. I understand it was very confusing. It was confusing to myself. And once that first neighbor puts out the wrong thing, everybody on the block puts out the wrong thing. So that's just the way it goes, and it was a little confusing. So we're past that. Starting next month, everything goes back to normal as on the calendar. I did have a meeting with a potential client for the A&P, a supermarket. It was a good meeting. I'm hoping it moves forward from there. They seemed excited about moving into the spot. It is a name brand supermarket, and hopefully we'll have more information on that soon. There was the EPA presentation yesterday on how they're going to put the lake back together. It was a kind of walk in and take a look at what's present going in. There was a lot of nice ideas there. They actually did say they got a lot of great ideas from residents that came in and spoke to them that they would bring to their management and to DuPont, and they said they felt they got a lot of benefit out of it because the residents came up with some good ideas, so that's good to hear. Our municipal lines coordinator, Aaron Grady is going to be taking on... Grady, I'm sorry. Is going to be taking on another position, so she'll be leaving us at the end of next week. We will be applying for a... No, next week. Is it this week?
Friday.
I thought it was next Friday. Well, it's been a week already. We will be looking for a new coordinator. We do have a meeting tomorrow for anybody that attends those meetings. There will be a meeting still going on tomorrow. One of the things they will be doing, just to understand what they do, this Saturday we have what they call a Hawks program, which is kids from the high school that do their own little alliance together. They'll be going to the liquor stores and putting labels on large cases of beer and liquor that say parents that host parties lose the most. The police will be involved with them to help them do that. I will give credit to the liquor stores in town. All 4 liquor stores that we have welcomed them in and said, we had no problem with you doing it. So those are the kind of programs that the Alliance will be doing and will continue doing, and I thank Erin for all the hard work she put in. If anybody's been involved with the Alliance, it's your typical government agency where it's tons and tons of paperwork that has to be done all day and night, and she took that on herself, and I thank her for all the hard work she put in, and good luck to her in her new job in the future. We all here marched in the Little League Parade, which was a very nice event, beautiful day. We finally got a nice day to have an event like that, and it's always nice to walk down. And I will say, and the residents who have been here a long time, maybe 50 years that's been going on in the same situation like that, so it's always nice to be part of something like that. What else do I have here? Oh, we had a meeting with the county in regards to the garage up on Ringwood Avenue. They're trying to move forward in making a senior housing complex there, where they'll be getting rid of the garage completely and maybe putting in 40 to 50 one-bedroom units there for seniors. I'm trying to make it so Pompton Lakes residents come first, and I think we'll be able to work that out. It's a long way away yet. This is preliminary talk. They wanted to know how we felt about the project. Of course, we welcome the project. There would maybe be some office space on the bottom and maybe even a small senior center in there. So I'll keep you posted on how that's working. That is a project kind of being put together between the county and the Housing Authority, which is an arm of the county, and the town. But they are very interested in moving it there, and I think it would be a great fit. We would lose the garage, which I don't think we're losing anything if we lose that garage, and we get a nice building there. So we'll see how that goes. And that is my report. Council President Record.
I'm going to start with a question. You mentioned the Hawk program in terms of the sticker shock, but we did have a beautiful video presentation last meeting. Has anyone heard how the students did in the competition?
Not yet. I have not heard, no.
Okay.
I don't know if it was out yet. I think it was around there.
Taking place.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Well,
just
we'll have a
curious
meeting tomorrow, so we'll know.
Okay, if you could, because those of you who were here who watched it, the video they produced was really, really outstanding, and I was curious how they...
Yeah, I haven't heard. That's a good question.
In terms of the Little League Parade, yes, we all marched. Yes, it was a beautiful day. The thing that I noted, and I have 3 grown children and have been involved with such events in the past, I really have to commend the kids. Once we got down to the field, instead of it being a free-for-all, they just sat beautifully in a horseshoe. They sat with their teams. They sat down. They listened to their coaches. They put up with a few speeches, and you're throwing out the first ball. And then they ran to the stack stands instead of everyone going full speed ahead. So they really were. The decorum there was exceptional, considering what the event was. You've heard a lot this evening about the bid. Bid had its meeting last week, and the bid now meets and shares its facilities with the coalition that you've heard a lot about. Bid meeting was very well attended. A significant amount of the meeting was reviewing the budget that we've already talked about. But the thing that I want to thank Rob Walker, who's still here, for coming to answer some questions tonight. The bid's been in town for 10 years, and I don't think that they're getting much more visible. They're doing lots more projects. And there were many people even at the meeting that didn't realize that they have been around for 10 years and that they continue to do more and more for the community. So congratulations to them. You had your 10-year banner, right, Shade Tree? So we also have the bid is 10 years as well. Just a comment on the EPA. As the mayor said, over in the Carnival Center last night, or yesterday, all day, Perry and Pat were there. There were poster boards and a very significant PowerPoint. I was there at the time when I had a private showing, so I guess I got to ask lots and lots of questions. Not being expert at all on plantings, and I will defer to others on that, because they showed lots of pictures of lots of berries and lots of trees and lots of plants, and I assumed that those people, and all I kept saying to Perry is, are you going to show me something that's not purple? I'm saying that it's not my area of expertise, but my takeaway from my conversations with them, conversations with residents, the very active listserv that was going on with the Pride folks who are very involved in this, is there a handful of things that, from my perspective, irregardless of the types of plans, because I'm really not in a position to comment on those, because that's not my area of expertise, is the concerns that I took away, and I'm sure others will have other concerns. That, one, there were a lot of comments about the path, in terms of whether the path, what the material would be, to what extent it would be smooth as opposed to gravel that baby carriages and bicycles can easily ride, how wide it was going to be, to what extent what the drainage would be. So there seemed to be a lot of questions and concerns to make sure the path suited as many residents as possible. The other thing in terms of the planting is, as you know, we have a significant deer issue here in this town, that whatever we do, try to be cognizant of the fact that there are large herds of deer around here, and do whatever we can to minimize the deer damage in terms of picking the plants. And another comment that seemed to come out of that meeting was that many of you know, especially in the warm months, that we have significant lily pads growing not on the shore but in the lake, so that once the environmental layer is finished, and once the cleanup, so to speak, of the lake is done, we've been engaging folks over the last few years to treat the lake. So I'd like to make sure that the left hand and the right hand know what each have been doing, so we don't go. We know there's some obligations to replant as it was, but be cognizant of the fact that we don't want to be replanting things that are just going to require us to be treating things that we didn't want in the first place. So those seem to be the takeaways that I got. I'm sure other people will have comments in their reports, but from a non-technical perspective, that seemed to be what I got from my conversations with them and others. The only other thing I think I'd like to mention is today's Administrative Assistance Day. So I don't know that we technically have people that have that heading in the borough, but everyone who functions in that capacity, I wish them a good day, and those in the watching on TV, acknowledging that these are people that often make the offices run. And I know those in my life were acknowledged, so I'd like to acknowledge the folks in the borough who do that as well. So that's my report.
Thank you. To follow up on that, I will tell you, if I'm getting 10 calls about, say, garbage pickup, the office is getting 50 calls. So I thank them for all their patience with the residents. It's not the easiest job in the world to spend time talking with the residents about the same problem over and over again. It takes a special person to do that, so I thank the whole staff in there for that. To go back to your comments about the lily pads, what I've been told was, for the first couple years at least, with the new P, the roots and the rooting systems of the lily pads would not be there yet. So the lake should be relatively clean for the first couple of years until they retake in. It will come back, but they're telling me that it should be relatively clean the first couple of years. And then the last thing I forgot to mention in my report is I need one closed session on personnel. Okay. Who's next on my list? I didn't even look. Councilman Dewan.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank Shade Tree for organizing the Arbor Day event tonight, and congratulations to the three winners that read their essay. It's always, I know they pour over a lot of essays and probably got generally the same theme, but, you know, every kid's got a little twist on it, so it's always interesting to hear at the council meetings. April 28th, we had the Open Space Committee meeting. The primary purpose of the meeting was to discuss the referendum regarding I guess the revision to the Open Space Trust Fund. We had quite a bit of discussion. Some of it was boisterous at times, but ultimately I think the key takeaway is what we had identified last year for the ordinance in terms of changing the trust fund in such a way that it provided a little bit more flexibility, but was still protective of the original intent. Everybody was pretty much on board with those items. There's some editing just to be done on the fringes of the language. At that point, those are going to be made, given back to the open space, just to see again in May, and then I'll pass along to Joe to advance for a referendum. I guess my question for Joe is whether you're the one to do the interpretive language for the referendum, or
We want to do
Anyway,
I did the initial interpretive language that I sent to you.
Okay.
I wrote that, but you can have any interpretive language, so long as it's consistent with what
we proposed. Okay. So maybe we can draft that up and let you take a look at it and revise it.
Like I said at the meeting, I'd like the administrator to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. On Wednesday, April 18th, I hosted a website training in the borough at 7:30. We had participants from Councilman Venon, Danielle Denti from Shade Tree, who's now the secretary there, Sharon Sunny, and Brenda Castro from Construction Department. We went over quite a bit, and we're actually going to be doing a second session because there's a whole lot to cover when it comes to doing things on the website. So we'll probably look to do that sometime in May again.
Right, and we're reminding our departments that they're responsible for upkeep of their pages.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, it's been sort of the same offer since we got going. You know, we understand that there's a learning curve, we'll work with them, but, you know, we've given them the ability to, one, get training and do the kind of things that they would like to see on their web pages. So I know, for some it's a lot to do. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you have people that work on a daily basis, they have different responsibilities, and then to add one more thing, they do what they can. So, but it's just a matter of giving them the tools to make the changes they want to make as well. Participate in the Little League on Saturday, April 21st. I was a little bit behind the rest of the council, since my daughter insisted that I walk with the rest of the team, but that's okay. It was a nice day for a walking and enjoyable event. So that was our first time actually doing the Little League parade, and chose the right day for it too. And was smart enough to bring a wagon to pull them both by the end of the walk. And the following day, participated in Earth Hike, sponsored by the Trail Maintenance Committee. We hiked around Fern Park. We had about 10 kids and 4 or 5 different families, so it was really nice event. Not too many falls, only one actually, and it wasn't a kid, so they recovered okay. It wasn't me either, so it could have been. Just want to let everybody know that work on the Morris Canal Greenway has resumed. Last time I saw it was basically they reached Dawes Highway. I haven't been over there this week but the weather's been pretty good overall, other than today, of course. And then one last thing is on Saturday, April 28th, there's a rain garden workshop being held at Hirschfield Park at 10 a.m. Rain barrel workshop being held. It's being hosted by the Stormwater Management Committee. The available rain barrels, I think, are all been accounted for, but anyone can still attend to learn about making their own, so they can still acquire the barrel and then their equipment and build their own. I plan on being there as well. And that concludes my report.
All right, just to give you an update, like I said, we had met with the county last week about the property, and they had nice comments to make about our trail, that they said we're working very hard to making a nice trail system here. For a small town, we actually have a lot of trails and a lot of maintenance that we keep on, so that's good to hear from them. And for the residents, we were talking about the web page, and I know we had to mix up with the garbage. Really, the key place to go to get information that is going to be updated all the time is the web page. I know everybody's on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. Anybody can say anything they want on those pages. If you really need to get an answer and you want to find it out, go to the web page. That's where you're going to get the most updated information. There is a banner that comes across, right, for any important information. So if something like the recycling, it's a news flash, right?
It's the alert center.
But it's across the screen.
Yeah, it's
on the top of it, right. That's where you'd see the most up-to-date information. So if you have any questions or concerns about anything that happens in the borough, hydrant flushing, any of those things, it would probably be there, and that's the first place I would start. Okay, thank you. Councilman Giacometto.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, again, echo somebody else's, the Arbor Day proclamation by the Shade Tree Commission, and to the SA recipients that read them both here tonight. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to the Shade Tree on receiving an award, 10 years, for Madeline Dente and Randy Hinton, Peter O'Teary, Ann Tassinelli, and Danielle Dente, who's new, and then before that, it was Megan, that was when I was on the 2 years. Congratulations to all you guys, all the hard work you do. I was here the last 2 years, and I know, all our volunteers are great, but I know the good job they do. Again, congratulations. Thank you guys for what you do. Also, I wanted to mention, I also went to stopped over yesterday, just before you, Mayor, I was in there. I miss Randy, but I know there was a couple of people there. I know one of the things they did mention, of course, I know Randy brought up, they were mentioning, I guess Perry Katz and Pat Seppi mentioned with the planting of the trees, which I thought was pretty good. I know Randy, they mentioned it to you. It's got a 5-year phase out, so they plant these trees this year. 85% have to live sustainability for 5 years, these trees. So I know Randy brought it up, Garner, Semmett was there, mentioned a certain birch. Randy mentioned, they were talking about an ash tree, and said, listen, we got the Emerald Ash borer coming in, no sense of putting that in there. Of course, what they mentioned with the deer population, so that's some of the things, and again, with the shoreline. But I thought the one take I got from the 85% sustainability on the trees, that they're gonna be planting a lot of trees, which was good. So hopefully, they're not spending all this money, we're not really looking at it, but he was gonna get back to us with a lot of questions. But it was a good question and answer session, it was more one-on-one, so I thought it was very good, and I thank them both for being there. I thought it was a great job. The other thing is the Little League Day Parade, marching that for the last couple of years. I've been involved, marched every year. The one nice thing too, wasn't brought up, but I'm going to bring it up, which I thought was nice. Not only do an excellent job, but we had 2 mayors. We had our mayor, Mike Serra, which was nice to have Riverview more. Paul was over there, Sorelli, and I thought that was nice. They both threw out the pitch, and that's a unique bond we have with Paul. We all know him. We know a lot of council over there, and that's the one thing with our towns. We try to always work together. We've been doing several things, different projects, and I just wanted to thank them too. He shows up there, and we always talk. We always try to do what's best for both the towns. Try to interconnect with a lot of Little League, and I know even Mary, you were there. We were talking about the bleachers, and he said they got a donation from the Riverdale, trying to get some more bleachers in there. So these little things, which is nice. We talk, we work together, and I think that's something special too. And I got to say, the mayor did a good job throwing the pitch out. So he didn't bounce it. He did a good job. Yeah, both lefties too. That's right, exactly. So, which was good. So, I wanted to thank all the kids and everybody who participated. And it's an honor for me to march. And that's all I have now.
Hey, just to follow up when you said about Riverdale, we've been together with Riverdale for a very long time. And you're right, they're the quiet little town next to us that kind of thing, but they always pitch in when we need their help. And one of the things I think Councilman Big might talk about it, is I think they just worked out a deal with keeping Riverdale in the school systems. You know, they were up on their contract negotiation. They usually do a 5 or 10 year thing. I think they've worked out a deal that the Riverdale kids will stay here in Pompton Lakes, which is good. Other towns were trying to get Riverdale to come in, but they decided they wanted to stay in Pompton, which is where they should be, I
What
believe.
they've done is they've signed a 12-year contract.
12 years, okay.
So they'll be here for the next 12 years.
Good. And one of the things you mentioned, one of the things I forgot to mention about the 5-year program, which is a great program, but I brought up the fact that the last time they went and did all the work, when they did the lead and mercury down at Lake Inez, which is behind A&P, I know people that walk back there will tell you, they never took the bags off the trees that were on the bottom of the trees, the water bags. And you go back there now, and this is 20 years later, there's big trees with these bags that are just busting out the sides, and it can kill some of the trees. So I suggested to Pat that someone has to monitor the fact that those bags need to come off, be disposed of and thrown away. You walk back there now, there's bags still from 20 years ago laying all over the place. So that's one of the kind of things that we have to make sure that DuPont is doing and follows up on the 5-year plan. Because the 5-year plan is the most important part, in my opinion, of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want in the first 2 years. If 5 years later it doesn't look like they're supposed to, we need to go back to them and say, it's supposed to look like this, and it doesn't. So I think that's very
I agree with
important,
you.
no matter who's here, that we follow up on that 5-year plan.
Also, too, when I did speak with him, I don't know, maybe Randy might know a bit more, but I said to him, listen, if you took down several trees that are 10 inches or 12 inches, 15 inches diameter, what size trees you're putting, they weren't sure. I said, listen, I don't want to get Home Depot-sized trees, that are 2 inches thick, that's cheap. Because the thicker you get, the higher, the bigger the tree, it's more money for them. So I said, listen, not for nothing, I want to make sure they put back something comparable. I don't want 100, so he was going to get back to me with that, and I know that's one of the things I brought up. I think he even said maybe Randy mentioned it or somebody else. But that was something, maybe it was Ann that mentioned it too. But that was something,
I think the 5-year plan is very important, so we have to...
Yeah, exactly, well, that was the whole thing, right.
Right.
So I agree with you, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Since there's a lot of talk about the website, I'll remind everyone, the address is pomptonlakes-nj.gov. I congratulate the Shade Tree Commission on the grant and on your 10-year award. It's quite an accomplishment. And I'd also like to congratulate Calvin, Holly, and Sarah Ann for recognizing the importance of trees and writing so well about that. And also for Calvin and Holly for presenting in front of a huge crowd of folks, as well as being on TV. Thank you to our Shade Tree Commission for all your hard work throughout the year. Your work helps to ensure that we don't lose power during the storms that we have that come through every so often. It's one of those things that a lot of members of the public don't realize is being done. But in municipalities with a lot of old trees and the folks aren't as diligent about taking care of those trees, it's felt when they lose power for days, weeks at a time. So we appreciate that. So in addition to the paint and plant event on the library lawn on May 12th, which is the day before Mother's Day, the Historic Commission will be hosting a walking tour of Pompton Lakes starting at 1 p.m. I want to remind everyone the Historic Commission, there's the Pompton Lakes 125th anniversary is in 2020, which is a little less than 2 years from now. So we should start. Historic Commission is looking into things, but also folks that have any ideas on what we'd like to see and do, start thinking about that. The Historic Commission is also looking to form a historic society, which is similar to what the Friends of the Library are doing. It's like the volunteer fundraising branch of the Historic Commission to see if we can get the museum, the idea of the museum off the ground. We have a lot of artifacts that's just kind of sitting in storage right now. The Pompton Lakes Municipal Alliance, hopefully I'm not taking your thunder, Councilman Big, will be meeting tomorrow night, 7 p.m. We meet on the fourth Thursday of every month at 274 Wanacue Ave. That's just a few doors down from Cardinal Cafe in the space that we share with the bid. Would you recognize signs of youth or alcohol drug use in your home? The Pompton Lakes Municipal Alliance is hosting Hidden in Plain Sight, May 2nd, from 7 to 9 p.m. right here in Council Chambers. A lot of good information will be disseminated there.
What's the date on that?
It's Wednesday, May 2nd. I'm sure Councilman Big will expound on that. I also had a lot of fun in the Little League Parade. That was my first one, and the kids were very well behaved and pretty much stayed in line and all that. Mayor Mike made sure I did that. And I'd also like to wish Erin Brady luck in her future endeavors. Thank you.
Okay, just to bring up the hidden in plain sight, for people who don't know what that is, they set up a bedroom here in the chamber, and we'll go through the stages of where kids nowadays would be hiding drugs or alcohol that you would never think of. And I always use the example, the one I went to last time had an innocent tennis ball sitting on the floor, and they actually cut the tennis ball open, were keeping the drugs inside the tennis ball. No parent is going to think to pick up a tennis ball and check it out. So I do get a lot of calls about what we're doing to be proactive with all the drug problems here in town. These are the kind of programs, especially if you have children, that you should be attending. They're very important. Unfortunately, it's usually low turnout for these kind of things, but at the same time, those same residents are calling me saying, what are we doing to help the kids in town about drug things? It starts in education. Parents have to be educated, they have to be aware, they have to make sure they understand the situations that their kids are in now and could be in the future. Everyone in this room who thinks they know something about the drugs is already past us. We know nothing about the drugs that are out there now. So, you know, and it's changing so quickly on how those things move and work. I'll give you an example, something I never even thought of. They caught a kid in school, not here in this town, but another town, constantly wiping his nose with his sleeve. He was constantly not wiping. It turned out he had a vape pen built into the sleeve of his long-sleeve shirt and was actually vaping in class as he was wiping his nose across his face. Things you would never think of are going on. And the new vape pens now hold marijuana oils that have no sense of smell, you would never identify it. So they could theoretically be vaping from their shirt with marijuana in class. And these are the kind of things that parents need to know about, especially if you have young children. So it's very important that people try to get to these programs and see what's going on. Councilman Begg.
Thank you. I again would like to thank the Shade Tree Commission for all the work they do in town. It's important. One, they really work hard at maintaining our trees. And see Randy all the time. I run into him on the street. As far as the attending of the EPA's informational session at the Carnival Center, much of what you see there on the restoration is what we looked at maybe 10 years ago even, when the planning board, part of the planning board met with DuPont and laying out those plans. The plans themselves have been approved by the Department of Environmental Protection. I happen to think it's a pretty good layout myself. And also I'd like to thank Erin Brady for the service that she's given us over the last several years. She's done a very nice job with it, and now it's up to us to continue it on. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of March 2018 from Chief Moses Augusto. There were 1,934 calls for service for the month of March, 299 motor vehicle stops, 127 motor vehicle summonses issued, 29 in the motor vehicle accidents investigated, 1 DWI arrest, 28 alarm conditions burglary, 13 alarm conditions fire, 13 fire calls, 60 ambulance requests, 10 burglaries, 6 thefts, 5 domestic violence, no sexual assaults, and no aggravated assaults. The Detective Bureau investigated 22 complaints, served 12 subpoenas, and 3 warrants. I attended the planning board meeting on April 17th. Approved at the meeting with a new large signage for the entrance to the Pompton Lakes Town Square. This will allow the listing of businesses in the shopping center. Also approved was a resolution granting the site plan approval for the new home of the Cardinal Cafe at 128 Warren Lane. And that's the report.
Thank you. To talk about the police department a little bit, you just read the report. I was driving home yesterday about 5 o'clock, and I saw our own chief out there arresting somebody, I guess, and I asked him what was going on. He said I was on the way home from work, and they were speeding down Wanacue Avenue, so I pulled them over. There was a smell of drugs in the car, and they arrested him. So even our chief was working on the way home from work, which is nice to see. Councilman Franco.
There's an office to get those copies.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to also thank Aaron Brady. I think everybody here had their chance to do that, and congratulate the efforts of Shade Tree for today's Arbor Day celebration. I want to expound a little bit on Council President Riker's statement of decorum. I've done the Little League parade for the last 7 years. All of my children have played in the Little League here on Pompton Lakes. We're talking about 400 people, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds, up to the age of about 15, walking from Pompton Lakes High School through the center of town, down Hamburg Turnpike, down Ramapo, almost into Riverdale, and down to the parks. And then when they get there, they sit in a perfect semicircle, quiet, and let all of us old guys ramble on about how great the Little League is, and then throw the pitches out with incredible decorum. It's a testament to them. I'm very proud of them. Our Little League does a wonderful job, Mayor, and the kids are awesome. So, and being last to make a report, I'm sure, is making you all very excited. So I'll be as quick as possible. All right, so MUA I attended on April 16th, which happens to be the first day that hydrant flushing started. They adopted their state-approved budget. I can speak for myself when I say that my water is stained brown right now in my house. They said that will subside with time. If you get a lot of staining in your water, just run your water, and they even said run it for an hour or two. It's going to cost you money, but it cleans up, and they got to get the hydrants clean. Sewage sludge amounts right now are at the very lowest level, which I thought was an interesting piece of information for everybody to be proud of. Their MUA's sewage sludge is very low. I attended library the same night on April 16th. My wife was very grumpy. Eagle Scout construction of the second floor plaza under community service is almost done. I thought that was a notable thing for everybody to know about. The building's fire alarm control panel was inspected very recently and passed, and the computers are all back up at the library. Shirley McCabe from the Friends of the Library was there to make a little report to us. They have yoga classes at $40 cost for a 6-week session from April 30th to June 11th for the Friends of the Library. Their annual book sale is on May 11th, the day before the Paint and Pot on May 12th at the library lawn. And their next meeting is May 2nd. The Rec Commission meeting was scheduled for last night, which was postponed until next month. And that's my report.
Great, thank you. I forgot to mention one very important thing I attended this week. I attended the Lennox School 100-year celebration anniversary. So the school turned 100 years old, and I was honored to speak along with Assemblyman Rooney. But the real special guest they had was a 1943 graduate of Lennox School who was there and came to speak. He was 87 years old. He had a lot of great stories and a lot of history. He grew up on Cannonball, and how he told us how he used to walk to school. For people who don't know, that building's a historical building now. It used to be a boys and girls separate entrance, and that's why it says boys and girls on both sides. They used to sit separately in the lunchroom, separate from each other. It's actually 100 years old. They had a great celebration, a lot of nice pictures, a little cake. The amazing fact that I brought out of the whole thing, there's only been 8 principals in 100 years that they've had that school there. Wow. That's pretty impressive. 8 principals. So I thank them for that. It was a very nice ceremony.
Before I go on, I had a couple things too I wanted to mention, maybe for us, even
Sure,
first for the MUA, and just so we're aware. Where I work up, I am the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission. I'm part of the New Jersey Domestic Security Preparedness for Water and Wastewater. 2 pending bills in the Senate. One is actually has to do with the notice to boil water, which affected us. Senate Bill 1242 is going to be a notice to boil water, would have to go to the mayor and to the municipal clerk, and would have to be within a certain time frame. Right, that would be first, as soon as immediately possible. If that ever happened again, like we had prior, the mayor and the clerk would have to be notified, both of you. So this way you're aware. I mean, it's still in committee, but it looks like it's going to make it out of committee, and whether the governor signs it or not. But that's proposed. That's one of the bills, and the other bill is Senate Bill S3499. And what that is it authorizes certain local governments, utilities to impose additional connection fees, like the MUA, and it would require new credits and reductions for those fees.
Oh, God.
So,
It's just what we want.
but it would help to give credits and/or they can do more with it. So I know we had that, they were talking about back and forth with the one redevelopment that we had. So that bill actually was pocketed veto, so they're going back to redo it. So that looks like it's gonna be redone and go to the governor for signature. But the other one I thought was, you wanted to know because it affects you and our clerk.
Yeah, sure.
That if this ever happens again, any kind of boiler alert, that anywhere, if it's Suez or our water system, any water system, whether it's our own or MUA, we have to notify you, the mayor, and the county clerk, or actual local clerk. So,
That's when we then would activate our reverse 911.
right,
And our,
which we probably notified anyway,
Right.
but it's gonna be dictated by law now, that it would have to be done immediately. As soon as they know, they would have to notify you.
Okay.
And get certain alerts out, and that's part of it. It's a 17 plan that they would have to follow what they have to do. So it's spelled out in the bill.
okay.
So
Great.
just so you know, I just wanted to let you know that I did.
Just to follow up on that, I should let the residents be aware of, and it's been out on Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, we're doing okay with our rivers right now, but the Wanacue Reservoir is spilling over as we speak, which means it's 100% filled. We just have to keep an eye on that, because once that starts spilling, if we get a heavy rain event, we could have some problems with flooding. The Ramapo, thanks to all the hard work of the flood groups, has been holding its thanks for all this rain we've been having. That's a big improvement from years ago. So hopefully we keep our fingers crossed, we get through April, we get through May, and we'll be all right. Questions?
Yes, I request an executive session for negotiations.
Okay. Administrators report.
I just have a couple things, Mayor. We received from Dave Epps in Camorras the first quarter report that he provides to the DEP for our review. We were notified by FEMA that we applied for the firefighters grant for safety gear for fire department. Our application was denied. It's a very difficult application to get funding for, very competitive, and we will continue to look to get additional funding. We did receive government money for the fire department 2 or 3 years ago. We will continue to move to try to get additional funding.
Is that one of those grants that you continue on when you left the next year, or you go back to starting from square one?
Well,
again?
it depends. Sometimes you can throw it in again, sometimes you start from scratch. It depends. We received a letter from Burgess Associates relative to the work that they're doing with the town and H2M relative to COA. We're trying to move forward to finalizing our COA obligations to the courts. We received the county tax board's 2018 final equalized table. There's a copy in your report. We had a redevelopment meeting here I talked about last meeting. An offshoot to that, the concern was is how are we going to make sure as it gets from redevelopment to planning board to actual action stage, how we're going to track the developer. And Paul Ferraro, our engineer, put together a draft compliance process, which he's utilized in other communities that already have established development programs to try to be able to begin the tracking as we move forward with developments. We received our contract back from NJDOT for Montclair Ave, and so that will be in the process for 2019. And April wasn't a good month rather for resignations. Aaron Brady, as you mentioned already, has resigned. Kermit Harlow is one of our dispatchers. She actually works the stay night shift, midnights to day. Actually is moving on to work for a legal firm and to actually work in the daytime and see the light of day. And Peter Pasamato, who was in our police academy, unfortunately was injured and had to resign for medical reasons. So it wasn't a great month for employees in terms of resignations.
Any questions to the administrator?
May I add one thing to my report, please?
Sure.
I think it might be of interest to the council to know that today is April 25th, which means that there are 5 days remaining because of the revaluation for Pompton residents to file tax appeals. And what I find interesting is that we've had remarkably few tax appeals in comparison to prior years. Even though with a reval year, one would generally expect to have substantially more tax appeals. But it does not look like we're going to have as many as we did last year or the year before.
That's good news. Well, that's good to hear. Okay, motion to open the meeting to public comments. Councilman Branco, Councilman Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Raise your hand.
Joe Tintola, 32A Walnut Street. When you were a councilman and Mayor Cole was present, the town came up with an ordinance on pods and dumpsters because people were getting irritated with pods being all over everybody's driveways. Apparently, the new inspectors that were hired, they're not, maybe they weren't told they should review Pompton Lake's ordinances, but there was a pod on Ramapo Avenue dropped off in the street for 3 weeks in front of somebody's house, and it was when we had the snow. No ticket, no permit. There was a house fire on Ramapo on the other side of Hamburg Turnpike. The dumpster was just taken away, it was empty, sat there for 4 weeks, no permit, on the front lawn. Now the house next to it got a dumpster dropped off, no permit. Now the ordinance says it's only allowed to be there 7 days. After that, they have to reapply for the permit or pay a fine. So I think the town inspectors should be informed to drive around, you see a container, you see a pod, if there's no permit, issue a summons, because the ordinance was because they're eyesores.
So let me just address that. You are correct, and I agree with you. They are eyesores and they are a problem. What our residents need to understand is our inspectors are part-time. They work 3 hours a day. They're only going out to events where they're being called to go out, that we don't have enough time in the day for them to drive and just look for problems. But if a resident sees a pod, or if I see a pod, they can easily call over to the department and say, look, there's a pod sitting here, it's been here 2 weeks. They will then go look at it. I've tried to work out about driving through towns to look at all the problems that are through towns. They just don't have the time at this moment to do that. So what I ask residents to do, and I ask them all the time, if you see a condition that you think is not correct, they need to call. They can call the police department, they can call a council person, they can call the building department and say, there's a pod there, there's been garbage sitting out there for the last 10 days, no one's picked it up, so they're aware of it, and then they can take a look at it.
A suggestion also could be that maybe Chief Moses could tell the police, well, you're cruising through town. If you see a container, you see a pot, just say, hey, building department, so-and-so address has one. Is there a permit pulled or not?
I agree with that.
I think the town should come out with an ordinance for solar panels that are put on homes. The town right now, I don't think, has one, and several homes have been putting the panels on the front of the roof, on the front of the house. So as you're driving down the street, now you're seeing these houses with solar panels facing the street. Some of them are eyesores because they cover the entire roof, and I think there should be an ordinance put where they should only put on the back side of the roof, which still faces the sun. Prime example, there's a house on Hamburg Turnpike on the corner. They were like the first ones to get a solar panel. That gentleman, I think the house was sold and he passed away. But there's several on Ramapo Avenue towards Riverdale. In the recycling center, just before you go up the stairs for the commingle containers, there's a container left, container right. There is a MUA manhole. I think that the DPW should build a platform that goes straight across that, MUA, if they want to open a manhole, they pick up the platform, move it, go in there. Because when it rains, the manhole is dropped. That whole area fills up with muddy water, and then in the winter, the drain holes on the cover freeze, and now you have a piece of ice. It's only going to take one resident to fall there, and then there's going to be an issue.
The problem is, and I agree that I've been there many times where it's been like that, but they also have to pull out those dumpsters, so they can't put anything permanent there.
No, there's, you got 4 safety poles, so nobody, the containers don't go. So you've got 4 poles, and the manhole is right in front of the steps. So just a wooden, pressure-treated platform to make it flat, so nobody's stepping down and stepping up. And in the recycling center, they have a sign that says, no styrofoam. But the town says, yes, you can recycle in the commit. So I think the problem with the sign is, they don't want people putting the styrofoam in the garbage dumpster. So people read that and they're going, oh, they don't take styrofoam, and then people are taking the styrofoam back and driving out of the recycling center.
They should be taking styrofoam.
Right, but the sign should say, no styrofoam in garbage.
Yeah, we can look at that.
On Barber Drive, a lot of trees broke, and a lot of the branches are half-snapped and they're hanging down. Most of the trees where they are is a town right-of-way, it's not DuPont's property. Maybe the DPW can take those down, because that's also a hiking for the Cannonball Trail, and when people park, if a limb finishes snapping and falls on somebody, someone's gonna get hurt or killed.
I'm gonna speak for Mr. Hinton. We could easily do that if we had a bucket truck.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anyone else from the public like to address?
Speaking of bucket Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Ave. Speaking of bucket trucks, yes, we could use one. Maybe in the future someday, Mayor. Yes, I did attend the EPA meeting. It was very informative, talking to Perry Katz. Talked to Dave Epps quite a few times, very cooperative. Any changes that we've made in trees, he said he shouldn't have a problem with it. Talking to Perry about 85% sustainability. So I was curious about watering. Dave Epps sent me another email. Yes, they're going to take care of watering. I want to thank Councilwoman Riker for mentioning the deer issue. Is one of the reasons why I was there, to find out what kind of protection they were putting on the trees and shrubs. He didn't really have anything that he was talking about the shrubs, but they're going to have to protect them also, because they're just like a salad for the deer. And like you say, it's 4 or 5 years. I did walk back by the old lake, Inez, and yes, there are bags still there. They've been there for years and years, probably cutting into the trees and killing a lot of them. I did attend the Little League Parade. I was glad to see when I got down to Joe Grill Field that you made it, and Frank made it, and the rest of the council made it. I saw you at first at Hurstfield, and I was kind of concerned. I appreciate that, pal. I wanted to ask if you needed any water or anything. Nice. You guys seem to have been doing pretty good.
Yeah, we did all right. We did good.
Excuse me?
I'm going for a little bit.
Well, I'm a little old for a little bit, but it was a great fair, you know. Yes, 2 lefties throwing the ball. Somebody had to tell our mayor that usually a softball is thrown underhand, not overhand, but, hey, he was under pressure and...
Good job.
He made it to the plate. Watching Channel 77, once again, when you have on the screen, you can't see anything that's on the screen. I hope that Councilman Brennan and Councilman Devine said they'd be working towards that. Once you look at the TV, you can't see that screen, whatever you have up there. It's blurry. Something that we could do about that, or is there a fix in the process?
I can ask our vendor.
I knew that you had abilities far beyond mortal councilmen, so that I thought you could handle that. Thank you. Let's see. What else did I want to say? The gentleman came up and was talking about that bridge in DuPont. 11 years, research back 100 years, and we can't find out who owns it. Wouldn't there come to some kind of 50-50 agreement that both the town and the
Anyone
county?
do a 50?
I mean,
They're gonna take no responsibility for it.
well, we have elected officials and freeholders. We have elected officials here, and over 11-year period,
It's not been 11 years, first of all. It's been to the county in the last 4 years. The county has researched it themselves, and they're still trying to figure out who is responsible. The problem is, just like anything else, once whichever entity steps in and starts to take care of it, they're gonna be held responsible for that bridge.
we understand that.
And it might be a DuPont bridge. It could even be a DuPont bridge.
Well, then there's a freeway put in on that bridge then. But I mean, in the meantime, that hole was getting bigger and bigger, and the plate, nobody's been sliding it over. There is a hole outside that plate, because I've checked that bridge myself.
Well, we'll reach out to our engineers again and see what they say, but we have to first find out who owns the bridge. So, it's a tough spot. I mean, we're talking major money if we take over that bridge, a real cost.
We'll close it down, yes. Yeah, we're gonna
Close
do
the
that.
road down. County would have to close it down if it's their
I mean,
bridge.
Mr. Branco takes his family over that bridge all the time, you know?
If it's a county bridge, they would be responsible for closing.
But I mean, somebody, this is ridiculous on how long it's been going.
The dam situation in town has been the same situation. There's people going around saying, we don't own that dam, they own that dam. That's been going on in the state of New Jersey the last 20 years. Who owns dams? Same situation.
We don't have a dam.
Yes,
We
we
have.
do. We have three of them.
Oh, we have one dam.
Three of them.
We have one dam on Twin
Are
Lake.
you-
Three.
The MUA owns one.
They own the one at Twin Lake. And where's the other two?
Well, Lake Inez had a dam there initially. That's a dam.
Oh, that's already down.
That's-
But
There's no more
somebody's
dam.
responsible for
That
that.
was artistic weaving.
Yeah, so there, there's situations where you have to find the proper owner. And I'll use the example of the walkway we were gonna do. They wanted us to put a bridge across Ramapo River, and I said, we will not be putting a bridge across Ramapo River, because once we put that bridge there, when a flood hits, we're responsible for that bridge.
That's just a walk bridge across the Ramapo River for the trail system.
I've put a major cost for that walkway.
Correct. But this is a bridge that people drive across every single day for the last 4 years, if not 11.
I will have our engineers take a look and see if it's safe. That's the first question. And they have, I think they have, engineers have gone there recently, right, in the last year, to take a look at the bridge.
No fun play.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. Bridge over the Acid Brook.
You know, but we was, I heard myself, I'm sorry.
Last, I would just like to mention, we work hand in hand, Shade Tree, with DPW. Guys are great. I'm down there all the time. I was just down there recently. Who is our DPW liaison right now?
Me.
Big Frank. That DPW garage is deplorable. The outside siding is falling off now.
Have you seen the nice trailers they have in the back?
Those two trailers,
They're supposed to be using those.
what, for the employees?
Everything, except garage.
The trucks are parked outside.
The trucks could be parked, but the problem is the DPW could be using those trailers if they choose to. They choose not to. We've put them there for the last 10 years for them to use.
The building is still deplorable, and the men are working in that building.
The only thing they're supposed to be doing in there is putting parking trucks for garage. That's it. The rest of the building is theoretically in the trailers. Lunchroom, changing rooms, offices. They tend to gravitate towards the old.
Is that the two trailers that the superintendent and the supervisor are in?
Yes,
Those are the ones that we're still paying rental on?
yes.
But we're building for OEM equipment,
For OEM equipment and other things, yes.
DPW equipment will be in that OEM?
Possibly, if we have space, yes.
That would be good.
The DPW has already been offered some of the space to radio station that they can move stuff into. So they could move stuff over there.
No movement on a new DPW garage?
There is, we are in negotiation with some groups, but we can't talk about it right now. There's some talk about where we would put them.
Possibly the county garage?
No, not at all, no.
No, that won't work?
No. The county wouldn't give it to us for that reason.
Okay, and thanks for all the accolades for the Shade Tree. We try to do our best for the town and for our residents, and we thank you for all the cooperation you have done for Shade Tree. And Kevin for all his work he's done. And Liz sending me all the phone calls.
Mayor, can I just, everyone has thanked you, Randy, for, you and your committee for your arbor tree and what went on earlier at the beginning of the meeting, so congratulations. But everyone failed to mention, and you were the one who brought it to my attention, that the Little League has a fundraiser, and that's and I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, because it really is a wonderful, it's a discount card that you buy for $20, it's good for the year, it's reusable, and I think there are 20 establishments, most of them in Pompton Lakes, and those that are not are in neighboring towns, but a lot of our restaurants and a lot of our very popular stores are on this, and it is a fundraiser for the Pompton Lakes Riverdale Little League that I'm assuming they're going to continue to sell them at the field. So if you haven't gotten one, They're really, it's a great project, and whatever we can do to support it.
That and donuts they're selling. You can buy donuts.
I think it's $20 for the car, right?
$20. The card is 20.
Or the donuts.
Card is 20.
$10 for the donuts.
I'm not buying donuts.
Just like to mention a little bit about the Little League Parade. For me, it's been a long time going to the Little League Parade. I'm the senior person here. But it's always a pleasure to go down and see opening day. I have to give the credit to the coaches and the organization for the maintenance on the field and for the DPW for the work they've done on it.
They do a lot of work on those
The
fields.
condition of the fields are really in good shape.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Giacometto, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor, any man privilege of the floor?
One other thing that I don't think anyone mentioned in their reports, we had a big ribbon cutting here in town.
Yes.
On Friday morning. TV Land Cafe has been here for a few months, but they had a beautiful, really nice, well-attended river cutting, and it's a fun place, and we welcome them to the town and wish them luck.
Anyone else?
I'll add something. While I respect different opinions on different things from the council, members of the public, professionals, I think Mr. Fisher was actually the first person that he was the owner of the Hamburg Turnpike house. And I think people that have the forward-thinking idea of putting solar panels on their houses should be commended, and we shouldn't be looking to restrict that kind of thinking and initiative. So unless there's an ordinance that would address public safety and welfare regarding the use of solar panels, I don't see any purpose for advancing any kind of ordinance that would restrict their use.
I agree.
That's it.
I should just mention lastly that I will be meeting with our Jersey Central Power and Light representative that dealt with us through the storms. I will say, I know you hear all these horror stories that went on during the storms. Our representative was pretty good. Well, I could get him on the phone. I could say, hey, look, this area is out. Could you please try to get it back on? And he worked on it and got it back on. I haven't met him in person. I've talked to him on the phone numerous times. So if any resident has a concern that they would like me to bring up to this resident, please send it to me in an email, and I will bring it up to him. Same thing with the council. If anybody has a concern about something that went on during the power outages, please let me know. Besides Mr. Councilman Devine. Motion to adjourn into closed session.
So moved.
Councilman Devine, Councilman Giacometto. Thank you, everyone, for coming. You don't have to. Wait, bro. Ready? In closed session, we discussed negotiation and personnel. Motion to adjourn. Councilman Marenko, Councilman Giacometto. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.